Ashland Selectboard meeting. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are utilizing the Zoom conferencing platform to conduct our meeting, and all board committee members are participating remotely. The goal is to maintain the spirit of the open meeting law, providing access and transparency to all proceedings. When appropriate, efforts will be made to allow for public participation through the Zoom platform. This meeting is also being broadcast live and is being taped by the good folks at WACA-TV, as well as live streamed on Facebook. Your patience with any technical difficulties is appreciated as we conduct meetings in this new way. I do not have to do a roll call vote as we just came out of executive session. In order to recognize and provide an opportunity for all potential participants wishing to comment, participants will utilize the raise hand function in the chat section. The chair will unmute and lower hand. The chair will unmute all participants briefly to determine participation for those unable to raise hand. At this point, I'm going to mute all except for co-hosts. And then we will get started. We are not going to be reading our vision and mission statement because we have a new one to discuss. And that was sent to us recently. Did the updated one get sent, Michael?
Yeah, it was sent this afternoon, Yolanda.
It's probably in my other email. So as I'm opening it up, just a reminder, I asked all board members, we start utilizing more of our board email addresses. Make sure that as you're responding back and forth to people, that we use our board email addresses. There we go. Michael, can you bring this up for everyone to share, to see? So as Michael is doing that, the board had a retreat on Saturday, and one of the items that we did was review our vision and mission statement to include some different language and embrace some more inclusivity. And we're going to let Michael bring that up. Okay. So at the top is our new vision statement. The town of Ashland will be a prosperous and fiscally sound community with a full range of housing, business, cultural, educational, and recreational opportunities in a safe, inclusive, and attractive environment for residents and visitors. We will embrace all differences and ensure that all persons have the opportunity to enjoy, contribute to, and be part of the Ashland community. Would any of the board members like to talk about the changes that we made?
Rob,
Comments?
you want to speak to this?
Sure. If you'll recall it, we asked for assistance from the Ashland's United Group and Registry accepted our invitation and did a lot of work on this, and she gave us a number of alternatives, and we looked at them and at our retreat and kind of put together wording that we kind of reached consensus on. And so that's what you see before you, both in the vision and the mission statement as well when we get to that. So I thought I think we all think it's important to reflect, given recent events, this kind of consciousness and awareness of these kind of issues, and to take a stand. I think of it as an inclusion and anti-racism statement or vision, but although it doesn't specifically say that, but it's I think we're getting at the the right wording here and setting the right tone.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah.
Steve, go ahead.
So just to clarify a little bit more in terms of more specifics relative to our board goals and objectives, we are expanding some of the, I think, the concerns that we all share at this point, given recent events. So we haven't completed that part of the process yet, so we won't be addressing that tonight. There's still a few more sections that we're revising, and then we'll adopt our new goals and objectives that will incorporate some of these new concerns. Not new concerns, old concerns, but we're including them in certainly our goals and objectives.
Thank you for adding that, Steve. On that note, next is our mission statement. The Ashland Select Board is committed to preserving and fostering a culture of inclusion through sustainable municipal services and policies for all members of the Ashland community, with a commitment to advanced, equitable, and fair treatment for all residents. The board strives to work collaboratively with town management, elected and appointed boards and committees, and state legislators to enrich our community life. The Select Board is committed to effective, respectful engagement with residents to enhance our quality of life and enhance equal opportunities and outcomes for all in a culture of acceptance and inclusion. Yeah, I think that the input that we got from Rajesh and then the discussion we as a board had, this new vision and mission statement brings some of the issues and just more inclusiveness into our statements. Any other thoughts, Brandy or Joe?
I think we had a really good discussion at the retreat, and I think what we decided collectively, I think really reflects sort of our beliefs and how we want to, what we feel is an enhanced vision and mission for us and for the town.
Great, Joe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I absolutely agree. The vision and mission statement is going to be tweaked every now and then because things change from year to year. And, it was a while before we had any changes made. And I think this is a change for the better. And it's, like you said, it's fostering everything that has been happening, not just nationwide, but worldwide. And hopefully this will start a healing process and become a united Ashland instead of a divided group, though I don't feel we are divided in any way.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rob. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Steve. Moving on our agenda, discuss the current vacancy on the planning board.
Excuse me,
Phil,
Madam Chair, should we
Yes.
vote to adopt this?
we probably should, Steve. Thank you.
So I move that we adopt our revisions to our vision and mission statement
Second.
That is
As drafted.
as drafted,
as
yes.
drafted.
I'll
Rob
second.
okay, Brandy seconded that. Great, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. That passes 5-0. Thank you for that reminder, Steve. Now we can move on. The discussion of current vacancy on the planning board. So Phil Williams has stepped down as a member of the planning board, which means they are now at just 4 members. We need to discuss the process of replacing him. It is a joint appointment between the planning board and the select board. Michael. Process we want to, you're muted. Did I mute all? No, you should be able to unmute. Hold on.
I like what he had to say so far.
Right.
Oh, there you go. There you are.
So under, under our current charter, we have a resignation from the planning board. That would be Philip Williams. Just to let you know what happens is that this is a joint appointment that would happen with the planning board. And, I believe the planning board discussed it briefly at their last meeting, and we will take their cue from them in terms of applications and how they want to go about the process of opening it up. And again, it would be a joint appointment, though. It would be a majority of the 2 boards that are left.
Okay. So if people are interested, they should apply via the planning board. Michael?
Yes. So
Okay. It's not a regular talent bank form though, right?
No, I mean, the planning board would probably utilize their own
Form.
application process or form.
Okay. So if people are watching or if people know somebody who might be interested in stepping up to be appointed to the planning board, they should reach out to the planning board directly.
Was it very similar, Madam Chair, to the open seat that we had on the school committee? And that process that we have to, is it something similar to that process?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
So I think we should clarify, Michael, the time frame here as well, because we've got, according to the charter, we've got 45 days to appoint someone. And so we need to look at the calendar in terms of, you know, what those dates are. And we have to have I think that there has to be a posting 2 weeks prior. The board shall give notice of the vacancy 14 days before the planned appointment. So there's actions that need to be taken here. So I think we need to look at the calendar in terms of if we're going to do a joint meeting with the planning board and we're going to solicit people, we need to, you know, if it's August the 5th or whenever, but the dates actually fall. Phil resigned on June 30th, which makes the 45 days August the 14th. So we need to determine where we're going to plug this in between now and then.
Be hopefully our first meeting in August.
So
Well, we have,
whether we do a separate meeting with just the planning board, I mean, that's to be determined, but those are options available. But you know, we do have a timeline.
Okay, so we'll look at that, Steve. And come back to the board and we'll work with planning to set that up. So it's 45 days from his resignation
Yeah,
for an
Yeah.
elected board?
what it says is, other than the office of the Board of Selectmen or Town Moderator, it shall be filled by the Board of Selectmen together with the remaining members of the appropriate board in accordance with the provisions of general law and this section. The Board of Selectmen and the remaining member or members of such multiple member body shall jointly fill the vacancy by a roll call vote within 45 days of the vacancy.
Okay. Though I would think that if we don't have a candidate within 45 days, it would be hard to fill it.
Well,
But
obviously,
we can look at that.
you know, we have, just pointing out, we have a timeline. So
Okay,
Then it would-
Michael,
I believe it will then become the Board of Selectmen's, their select board's sole appointment.
okay. Okay, great. Thank
so
you. for
that date, drop dead number is August 14th to fill that position prior to,
According to the charter, correctly.
according to the chapter. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on. Review boards and committees. Did I hear something? Remove boards and committees, open seats and reappointments. So this is just looking at, and Michael, can we put this up on the screen? So this is the committees and the members that are expiring at the end of August. And I'm going to ask Susan to walk us through this because we are fortunate, has put this together for us. And we're going to look at the people who have to have reappointments, and then we're going to look at the vacancies. We'll do those two separately. We are not making any appointments tonight. We are not making any decisions tonight. This is just a review for the board to see what positions are going to be expiring at the end of August, so we know who might be up for reappointment, and then also looking at the vacancies. And in regards to vacancies, we will certainly then be looking for volunteers if people would like to step up and participate and be appointed to any of these vacancies. So Susan, you want to walk us through this?
Sure. So basically, I have not reached out to anybody at this point about any of the vacancies. I did create the list for you guys to review first, and then I can move forward with it. It's pretty standard. everything that is on this list is also on the website. And I also updated on the website any of the current vacancies that we have nobody sitting in. So as you can see at the top, we have 3 seats on the affordable housing, all 2-year seats. We have cable access committee. I think at some of the committees we need to look at also whether or not they're active or what they're doing. But the cable access, that expiration, wait and do that in October.
Okay.
Board of Registrars, we have 1 vacancy for a 3-year seat. Cable advisory, that group usually negotiates the contract. I don't know that we have a current contract that's being negotiated. So it's up to you whether or not you want to keep that board sitting,
Okay.
Or not. The CPC, we have 1 3-year appointment. Conservation, we have 2 3 years. Council on Aging, we have 3 3 years. The Keefe Tech School Committee, we have 1 member for a 3-year seat. The Finance Liaison, that's up to you guys whether or not you want to keep those appointments as they are or if you want to make a change.
Yep.
Metro West Regional Transit Authority, we have 1 person with a 3-year seat. Open Space and Recreation, we have 2 people with a 3-year seat. SMOC, John has been sitting in that position for quite some time. That's a 1-year seat. Stormwater Committee, we have 2 people for 3-year seat. Town Forest Committee, 3 people for 3-year seats. The Tri-Mount Aggregate Committee, I'm not sure how active they are. We have 4 people for 1 year and 2 vacancies on that group. And then on ZBA, we have 1 person for a full term, which is 3 years, and then 2 associate members, which are 1 year.
So after this meeting, you're going to start reaching out to the people who are on this list to see if they'd like to continue, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. And then the vacancies. Michael, if you could, there we go.
So do you want me to go through that
Yes,
list?
please, if you would.
Okay, so on the Board of Registrar, I believe it's a Republican, but I'm not 100% sure that she's looking to fill that vacancy. The Cable Advisory Board, we have 1 3-year seat. CPC, we have 2 3-year seats. Council on Aging, we also have 2 3-year seats. The Historical Commission is the group that we are really in need of people. I know I've seen a lot of things on social media about people talking about how they have interest in the history of Ashland. It would be a great opportunity for people to get involved. The committee is not active right now because they don't have enough members. So we have 6 vacancies on that committee. Stormwater Committee, we have 1 3-year seat. Tri-Mount, we have 2 1-year seats. And then on ZBA, these are 2 associate seats for 1 year each.
Okay, good.
So I have a question. Thanks,
Go
Susan,
ahead.
for going through all that. So for something like the Tri-Mount Aggregate Oversight Committee, that's definitely one group that I'm not familiar with at all. How do we assess whether or not that's something that should continue or is needed? What's the process for that?
Are you asking me or are you asking Yolanda?
I'm asking whoever might be able to answer the question. I don't know. I don't know. So
It's definitely because it's created by or with the support of the select board. I was not on when this was originally created. I don't know. Joe, were you on when it was created? Or is it older than that? You're muted, Joe. I think I know what it does. So they look at their work with Tri-Mount, the quarry over on Spring Street, and they discuss or have been discussing what might happen with that property once they're done with the quarry.
Right. They're supposed to turn that over to the town, and it's now the dates change because they're actively busy again at that specific area. A lot of the rock crushing stuff has been removed from there. So they're just making hot top more than anything else right now, asphalt. That's all they're doing there. But you're right, Yolanda. It's that group was comprised before I got on the board, and it was to deal with their shutting down, and it was going to be in stages. And I don't know the exact time frame, but I believe it's another between 10 to 15 years that they may still be in that location, and they were supposed to give the property to the town.
I was gonna say, I thought it was less than that, but
It could be. It was my understanding. It could be 10 or maybe less, but I thought it was between 10 and 15.
We do get a report that they have to file with us too. So we have that. That committee has also been in contact with people from Trimount to review some of the things. And in the past, when there's been an issue that has come up, whether or not they were doing some active blasting or there was something going on there that caused a problem to the neighbors, the committee would kind of reconvene and get together. I don't know in the last couple of years that they've actually held a meeting because it's been pretty quiet up there, like you had mentioned, Joe.
right.
The other thing, there's a, excuse me, because there's a really, I believe an extensive plan for transitioning the quarry to a safer state once they close down, right? I mean, it's pretty involved. And that was the gist of the effort going back, 15 or 20 years for the eventual close down of the quarry and returning it some sort of semblance of safety or get rid of the steep hills and things like that. So I believe that's all in place, right? I don't know if anybody's seen it lately, but I thought that was all resolved.
I believe that's part of the annual report that they have to file, Rob, or I'm not sure that it's annual, but every so many years.
Okay.
So for something like this where there's vacancies, do we just keep those vacancies just as placeholders? And if we need to fill them at a point where, it becomes an active group again, that's kind of how we do that? Is that?
No. So part of what tonight is putting the information out there about vacancies. And I would also ask that we make sure, and I believe you've already said this, Susan, that this is up on our website so that as people go and see how can I participate and volunteer and help out, that they see these up on the website. And then if there's something that interests them, they can submit a talent bank form. Or if they think there's something that interests them, they can reach out and ask a question as to what does that do. So just like for you, Trimount Aggregate Oversight Committee is something that's not many people know about. So you ask the question. But
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
I just wanted to, follow up on Susan's point about the historical commission, and
Yep.
maybe we could deputize someone to do some recruiting up to and including posting on the Happy Board to get people on the committee. And I want to thank Steve and Joe. I believe you are the current members. Is that correct? And maybe we should just put some focus on recruiting.
Actually, Rob, the entire board is the current historical commission by default.
Yep.
Joe and I were recruited when there was other members in order to make a quorum. But
so now it's us.
So now the fact that there's no other members, it's the select board who is the de facto historical commission.
So if we were to look at whoever's posted on the Happy Board the most over the past year, I would think that would be the logical person to do this recruitment.
Well,
Or join.
I believe the person you're talking about has already done a stint on the historical commission,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
agree.
to recruit, I'd say.
To recruit. I would agree. I think this is certainly a commission that needs people who are looking to look at our history, support our history, maintain our history. We all know history is important. Our historical buildings are important, how we support them. So I guess this is our call to action. If you are sitting here and watching, even if you don't want to be on the historical commission, if you know someone who you think might be interested and would like to be on the historical commission, please have them reach out. They can reach out to me or, to find out what it takes. I think this is probably one of the hardest as a select board member is looking at these vacancies and finding people who not only have the excitement and the willingness to step up, but also then follow through and be understanding that they're not a one person. They have to participate and work with a group and work with other committees. And, you know, it's finding that balance between someone who's willing to volunteer, but then also willing to work with a group.
And willing to give the time and
Right.
the commitment time
Right.
to what needs to get done.
Right. So we will be approving our reappointments from the list of the first ones that we looked at our our second meeting in August. I think it's our August 15th meeting. So if there's people who would like to step up and be appointed, we'd certainly like to be able to do it and have met them maybe at our first meeting in August, and maybe they can meet with other committee members for some of the vacancies on standing committees. But also, if it doesn't happen before our August meeting, if there are people who are willing to step up at some point, we can appoint them in a rolling form as well. So any other questions or comments on this list that we just reviewed?
And that would be a talent bank form application that need to be
Yep.
filled, which is on our website and line anyway, so.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Next item, old and new business. Review and approve letter to the Attorney General regarding Hopkinton Ashland Transfer Line project. Rob, I'm going to send this over to you.
Sure. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Can I share this letter, or?
Please
Michael?
do.
Let me
Or
just
Michael
put it up.
can.
I think I can put it up if I get my act together. How's that? Okay. Yeah, so I don't, so I think you've all hopefully had a chance to read it. We had a discussion about, it was suggested by some folks in Ashland, Diane Ring and Chuck and Lynn and other people, that we try to join forces with the Attorney General, who was the Massachusetts Attorney General, who's doing something similar, I feel, to what we're doing with Eversource, in that she's reviewing the natural gas infrastructure in Massachusetts and asking that it be reviewed for necessity and in view of the need to do something about climate change and move to alternative and renewable and sustainable energy sources. So, this letter, I just tried to make that case to the Attorney General and send our report. You'll recall that Dr. Stanton completed the report, which I won't review in any detail, but it basically supported our concerns that the pipeline expansion is not necessary, or is not shown to be necessary. It would not, there's no evidence to show that it would do the things that Eversource says it would do. So I just tried to point that out. And I think the key thing that I'm asking for here is that that I made the point to the Attorney General that we're asking, what we're doing in Ashland is similar to what she's asked the Department of Public Utilities to do for the state of Massachusetts, and asking her to support us in any way that you can in this proceeding, and ask that the EFSB, which is part of the Department of Public Utilities, delay their decision on the Eversource pipeline expansion until the policy review that she has requested is completed. So I try to make the case that this is really part and parcel of the same thing, and to ask for her support. So that's basically what this letter, which is basically a cover letter for the report, is that we would send to the Attorney General.
Okay.
Well, I think a very well written letter, Rob, and I'm certainly supportive of moving this forward and getting it into the hands of Attorney General Healy.
I agree. I think it was a great letter, Rob. Thank you for putting that together, and I definitely support us sending this to the Attorney General.
Okay, thank you.
Totally agree with that. Nicely done, Rob. Appreciate your time and effort.
Thanks. And I should add, this would come from Yolanda Greaves, the chair, and copy our senator and representative
Mhm.
as well as the chief of the Energy and Telecommunications Division in the Office of the Attorney General. So, so I
Yeah.
guess I would ask for a motion to support the letter and the transmission of the report.
Before we do that. So I read through the letter and again, thank you, Rob, for writing it. At first I was a little hesitant about how strong it was, but what you were actually asking the Attorney General. But I think that what we're requesting and what we're looking at ties in nicely with what she is looking to do with the, Department of, Utilities to look at the use of gas and new construction of pipeline and infrastructure here in Massachusetts. So I'll now go for that motion. Do you want to make it, Rob?
Sure. I would motion to approve this letter and instruct the chair to transmit it to the Attorney General.
If I can get a second.
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote. Kinsman,
Aye.
Vignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. So that passes.
Right.
So we will get that off to the Attorney General with the copy of Dr. Stanton's report.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just related to this, we had spoken before about sending our report to the EFSB, and I think Michael was going to confer with Town Council as to whether that should be done. So I don't know if Michael, if there's anything happen with that, but I would ask that we just, ask Michael to transmit it to the EFSB with our endorsement and ask them to include it as much as we can, if that has not been done at this point.
Why don't we just include the EFSB in this communication?
There we go. That's a great idea. Make them a copy.
Yep.
CC them.
They'll get the report and they'll get our communication.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to that. I think I'm just wondering if it might be better to specifically send it to them with a specific request about their decision. I don't know, Michael.
I don't
what's
know.
your
Do we
thoughts
think
on
that's
that?
appropriate? Michael?
I mean, I certainly think that we could send them the report. I believe it has been sent to them.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that had happened.
We could certainly send it to them, even if we had sent it to them before. We can send it to them again.
Okay.
And in terms of the letter, I think you don't want to ask anything of the EFSB that could potentially contradict something that you would ask them for in the future, maybe. So, if you're going to ask them to delay their vote, that might be contradictory to you asking them to deny, the application, if that's what you decide a couple months down the road. So for that reason, I probably would hold off on any specific requests.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we can send them a report. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. Well, as long as I think they've got the report, I think that's helpful. I mean, we could repeat what we've said, which is that it should not go forward until certain questions are answered, which I think is our current position, our official position in our letter.
It is.
Madam Chair, if I may, Mike and
Go ahead.
Rob, would it be prudent to, if you wanted to send this to the EFSB with the removal of the very last sentence where it says at a minimum, we would ask that the ESFB delay the decision upon further review and request is completed. If you were to eliminate that sentence and provide EFSB with the entire letter without that sentence, would that be appropriate? Because now you're not asking them to make a delay or make a decision in this process.
I think if we're going to compose a letter to the FSB that's anything other than just a brief cover to this report, I think it needs a separate kind of thinking and process to it.
I think the right now the discussion is that we want to send this letter to the Attorney General
Right.
But to Michael's point, we don't want to be asking the EFSB to do anything
Mhm. Right.
related to this letter or anything else. So it
Yeah.
sounds to me like even with this letter to the Attorney General, we should take off that bottom line at a minimum, right?
Yeah,
Well, I think it's important to ask her something, or to give some sort of policy impetus to this. Like, we would ask the FSB to delay the decision until a policy review was completed. That's at a minimum. So I don't think that, and this is a request to the Attorney General, not,
Right, but
not
you're
to the
indirectly,
EFSB.
but indirectly, you're asking the EFSB to delay their decision until the policy review is done.
And
So
I
to
thought
Michael's
we had,
point,
isn't that what we've asked them though? That Eversource has not made their case, and therefore they shouldn't be approving it.
It does say that there's outstanding questions that need to be answered before it should be approved.
I think that's our official position, that we oppose it unless and until these questions are answered to our satisfaction, or,
That's an important clarifying to your satisfaction.
so I don't think this contradicts that.
I think that this letter is good to send to the Attorney General. I think if we were going to do anything more than CC the EFSB file, then, I think that's what Michael's talking about, that we would
right,
different. So,
right. So we can CC the EFSB
right.
and then leave it at that.
I think also, if we send this to the EFSB, it's not going to be accepted as new evidence necessarily.
Right.
Correct.
So we just have to keep
Well, I
that.
suppose that, and other people, as long as we're sending it to them, I think it's important. And I'm sure other people, it's public document, other people can feel free to send it with their thoughts on it.
Yep. Okay. Michael, can you stop, or Rob, can you stop sharing?
Oh,
wanna
I'm
be able
sorry.
to-
Yep.
That's okay.
I
So
like
think-
to share.
So I think we've taken a vote. We're sending this to the Attorney General with a copy of the report, and we will add the EFSB to the CC. Okay. I was negligent in that I did not open up to citizens' participation before old and new business. So at this point, since I think a number of people sitting here are here to support or give us input on the Eversource information, I will now open it up to public citizens' participation. Please use the button raising your hand, and Diane Ring, I'm going to unmute you first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also want to quickly say thank you for stepping up to become Madam Chair and all those extra duties and responsibilities. I also want to thank Rob and the Select Board for putting this letter together to the Attorney General. I think that letter is higher than the pay grade that our original request was. It's far more strategic. It goes beyond what we were thinking about. And our request included, we were hoping for a letter to the Department of Public Utilities. Much like the Siting Board has a docket for the Eversource case, DPU opened up a docket when Attorney General Healy asked for, when she petitioned the DPU for an investigation. So now is the time when people are writing to the DPU. Jack Lewis is going to send a letter. And I think it would be really neat if the Select Board saw fit to send a letter to the docket number in support of the Attorney General's request. And I can give you the info if you want to do it. Our email was dated June 20th. It's all there. So that's something that I think could be significant for our visibility. Thank you.
Okay. Opening it up to citizens' participation. I'm looking for raised hands in the chat room. I'm not seeing any. I will unmute all if there's anyone else who wants to input, give some citizens participation. Anybody else who would like to speak? I have unmuted everybody. Not hearing or seeing anyone. I'm going to mute all again. Yes. Okay. I'm looking at our agenda. I know we added the review of 2 new outdoor seatings, Michael. Were they added? You're muted.
Yeah, we added, this is Steve. So we added
Yep.
the 2 requests for outdoor dining, but we also added a request to raise the Indian flag on August the 15th. And I know
Yes.
there's a couple of members here of the organization that have an interest in that.
Madam Chair, can I, before we move on, in terms of Diane's request, is that something I just request to put on our next agenda? Can we agree?
Yeah, we'll put that on the next agenda in regards to
Yeah.
supporting her letter. Or opening a letter.
Thank you.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep, so I was looking at the wrong agenda. We'll get there. So let's go back to item C, request to raise the Indian flag. This is information that was sent to us. And I believe KG, are you here to speak about that? I'm unmuting you or trying to.
I'm here.
There we go.
Elena. Oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you for accommodating this request. In fact, IAGB member Parag Singh, he's the one who's the main man here, and I will share the microphone with him to address the issue. We also have other members of the Indian group here, Rangav, one of the directors, as well as Lilesh Shalvi is another treasurer to support this activity. May I request, with your permission, Parag Singh to present the...
Yes, go ahead, Parag.
Thank you, KGN, and thanks, Madam Chair and Select Board for giving us this time. Truly appreciate it. I hope you got a document. I did send it to Susan, and Susan did share it with all of you before this meeting. So thank you very much, Susan, for doing it today itself. Now, just to give you a little bit background, right? I mean, it's been on for almost 60 years. It does come across as a surprise to many people, but IAGB, India Association of Greater Boston, has been celebrating India Day, which happens to be 15th of August, for over 60 years. Last 2 or 3 years, we have been doing it in Boston City Hall Plaza with 15,000 plus folks showing up there. So it's a massive, massive event for one of the fastest growing community in Massachusetts. It's one of the biggest day of celebration. Now, this pandemic obviously has changed the game completely, but in all honesty, it really gave us a new opportunity to really take it to the roots of every town. And so what we are trying to do is across Mass, we are going to different towns. We already have an approval from 8 different towns that if you see the documents there on 3rd page, 8 towns and already approved it. It's very simple. I mean, if you just look at it, the idea is to be there, potentially a place that town can approve. Most of the places, it's really outside the town hall itself. We just want to raise an Indian flag. Now, there is a whole process to that. So we'll raise a US flag, we will have a US anthem, then we will raise an Indian flag, we will have Indian anthem. And that's about it, along with a couple of speeches at that point of time. On an average, we are expecting 25 to 30 people max in every town, because like I said, our intention is to go to 74 towns, which is really the number India has been independent from British. So 74 towns, only 8 approvals so far, but we are going on that direction. Now, there were obviously, we are learning with each town. So I'm already in touch, thanks to KGN. I'm already in touch with a lot of folks in the town. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for helping us out with the Select Board. Then, of course, I sent a note to Mike. I have been in touch with Diane from Health Board. I've been in touch with Sergeant Berman. So Sergeant Berman and I have spoken at least 3 times so far in the last 10 days. just trying to figure out, and last conversation that we had, he really just left it at a place that once you have the place where you are going to do this, I'll give you the guideline as to how it will be done. So we all felt that right outside the town hall is a good place where we can do, because it really gives us good space because of the road itself. So 25, 30 people, no big deal. They can be on the other side of the road. Few folks can be on this side of the road, raise the flag, do a 20-minute celebration, and then at the end of the day, we'll take the flag and pole and everything. Everything will be done by IAGB. We just need approval. Madam Chair, let me take a pause if there are any questions I can address.
Sure, I have a couple questions and I want to open it to the board. So is this a temporary pole that you'd be putting up for the Indian flag? And it would go alongside potentially, if we approve this, our town flag poles?
That question is for me, Madam Chair, or for
Yes.
the board? Oh,
For
okay,
you,
yes,
for you.
absolutely. Right, it's a temporary pole that we are ordering. So for all the towns, we'll have it for a day. We'll figure out a way to hold it and then just take it off next day.
Okay, good. Any other questions from board members? Or comments from board members on this item? Brandy?
Well, I think this is great. I definitely support this. I'm just curious, we do have a large Indian population in Ashland, which is fantastic. Are people going to RSVP? How are you going to, I don't want to say control, but manage social distancing and make sure that that's taken into account? I could see a lot of people wanting to come out to support this.
Right, very good question, Ms. Klinsman. We have been hearing this question a lot. So there are a couple of ways that we are thinking about it. One, obviously, that's the reason I'm in touch with Sergeant Berman, right? So I wanted to understand what does it mean from an outdoor, indoor number of people. So yes, we are thinking we will have an RSVP. So we will have an advance notice. So we'll send it to Ashland Indian. That's where Nilesh, Ranga, all those folks are there, of course, KGN himself. So we would do a RSVP. But if there is a, let's say, surprise, somebody shows up without RSVP, so we'll have that number already with Sergeant Berman, and we will make arrangement in that sense. And I think that's where the location of this place, and this right outside the town hall, is a great location in my mind. I mean, because of the road, because of the distance, even if few surprises here and there, we obviously will be following the strict guideline by state, by town, so we can manage it. But I mean, by our experience, it should not be more than 25, 30 people. That's about it.
Okay.
Thank you. It's good that you've been talking to Sergeant Berman. I think that's the great, that, having that connection made already answers a lot of the logistical questions that we would have, I think.
Absolutely. He has been sending quite a few documents. Thank you.
He's on top of that kind of stuff. Any other questions or comments from the board? Rob?
I think it's a great idea. Looking forward to it. I'm going to try to come by. But, we'll see how it works out. So
Make sure you RSVP.
right. Oh, right.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Steve
Yeah,
or-
thanks for doing this.
Steve or Joe?
Well, fully supportive and looking forward to potentially attending as well.
Okay. Joe, you are muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing. I think it's a great idea. I thoroughly approved this, and I think it's a great idea. And I'll RSVP right now. I'll be there. Okay. Anything that has to do with uniting our community better is a wonderful thing. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Great.
So
Okay. If I can get a motion then to support this, I would say that they need to work with Ed Berman to decide on the exact location. But I too think it's a great idea. I know we have a large Indian community here in Ashland, and anything we can do to be more inclusive and help those communities get visibility in Ashland, I think is a positive thing. So if I can get a motion to approve?
Sure. A motion, I move that we support the August 15th event as presented by IAGB, conditioned with working with town staff, specifically Ed Berman, to manage the protocols. My motion.
I'll
Great,
second.
Thank you, Joe. So I have a motion from Steve, a second from Joe. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shearer,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. So that passes. Prague, thank you for bringing this to us. KG, thank you for making the connections. And I too will RSVP, and I look forward to the event on Saturday, August 15th.
Sure.
Joe?
Thank you all for the help. I appreciate it.
Is there a rain date?
What's a
It
little
could-
rain?
It could be the 16th, the next day.
Just curious. No, no one.
But it's always good. Thank you for that suggestion, Joe.
Great.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you both.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Moving on in our agenda, we're now going to jump down to the review of outside dining requests. We've had 2 new requests. I believe Beth Reynolds is on, as well as I saw Henry. Beth, if you want to take us through these, let's start with Honto.
Sure. So Honto just, can you hear me?
Yes,
Sorry.
I can.
Okay. So Honto just sent in their application this week. You'll see the application is complete. There are a few questions that we had for them. I did talk with Henry today. I believe Henry on the call.
Yes.
And talk a little bit more to all of your questions that you have, but I do know that he is planning to rope off the area. He'll be using a sidewalk that is right outside of the restaurant, so plain view, nice lighting, and there is handicapped accessibility there as well. His application is now in front of the team, our community development team, for review. So whatever you decide today would be pending our team reviewing it and making sure that it is secure and safe.
Okay, good. Henry, I see you're there. Let me unmute you so we can ask you some questions and you can and answer them. And it's not unmuting. There we go.
Yeah.
Hi, Henry.
Hi. Yeah. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So we have your application. Beth has taken us through it. And I'm going to open it up to the board for questions. And I know Joe always has some good questions first. So Joe, I'm going to go to you, but you do need to unmute, Joe.
Okay.
And Joe will have some questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Henry.
Hi.
I noticed on your application, I'm looking at the diagram, and I'm trying to visualize the location that you're describing. So I'm looking at Honto's, which is to the right side of that building, and then you have the hair salon next to you.
Right.
Where in proximity is this right angle that you're looking at? That I'm trying to decide.
Is the angle to that to the right is the salon, okay? To the left, okay, is the another salon. The other room in the middle, okay, so like angle of it's right in front of, like if you look at the diagram on the left hand side, that's the bar side entrance.
Right.
Okay, on the right hand side, that's the main dining room entrance. So we are sitting right at that corner right there. So we were just thinking, okay, there's a 16 feet of length of space in between the corner to the bar door, and there's a 14 feet of space in between the corner to the dining room door. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking, okay, if we can put 3 tables in there, okay, that will have enough space for 6 feet distance in between each table.
Okay.
At each table we have only have 4 seats, and the sidewalk there's a 8 feet slab on the sidewalk. Okay, so there's plenty of room. Okay, for the space to walk by or something. So.
Okay. The other question that I have is, you're going to cordon that off in some way with some sort of barriers, I would assume.
Yes,
from the
we'll put,
sidewalk?
we'll put some plants outside and then have the tape, okay, that cover that off.
Okay, and how will the outside drinking be monitored?
We have the windows on all the corners. Okay, we can see right from the inside there.
So you won't have an individual or employee out there monitoring, you'll be looking through the window.
Right.
I have, well, to me personally, I have a problem with that because sometimes you get busy inside, but you're not keeping an eye on those tables and those individuals out there. So I would prefer to see an employee out there, as most of the other restaurants are doing with outside alcohol consumption. That's just my suggestion. I'm not ordering you, but I just a suggestion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I can make an arrangement. Have a dedicated wait staff for this, standing outside, keeping an eye on every single table, every single customer. So.
Yeah. Okay. And there's no entertainment outside, right? This is just outdoor.
No, just a few tables.
Okay.
No entertainment, nothing.
I have to ask. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm good.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Anyone else questions? Rob, Randy, or Steve?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm all
Yeah.
set.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
also here, I think Joe hit it pretty well. The only, I guess, one, just to clarify, that the table closest to your main door is 6 feet away from the door?
Yeah. To the door, no, the table itself will be 6 feet away from the door, but
Okay.
with the people, okay, maybe about 4 feet away with the people away.
Okay.
With the chair.
So I just to clarify, it's that table is 6 feet away from the door. So people that are entering the restaurant are
Right.
physically
Yeah,
6
Then there'll
Okay.
be no contact between all those
Good.
customers.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions? I'm looking for a motion to approve the extension of the outdoor liquor license until November 1st of 2020 for Honto.
So moved.
If I can
Do I
get a
need to-
second.
I was gonna say, do I need to state more?
Nope, you're good. If I can
Okay.
get a second.
Hold on, before we second, do we need to condition it? Beth, have you done all your work?
Oh, we need to condition it. Thank you.
Yep, I would ask that you condition it on our community development team reviewing and the application as well as
Okay,
physical space.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I will
So
add
I'll-
that comment as an addendum.
Okay, and
To
I'll
the motion.
second that
Okay.
modification.
Great. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye,
Shear,
Aye.
Greaves, aye. That passes 5-0. Henry, you guys are all, you will be hearing from Beth. Once she and her committee approve and check everything, from our perspective, you're good to go, but Beth will be the one letting you know that.
Okay, great. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Henry.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Look,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Good. Moving on to the application for the VFW. Beth, take us through this one,
So,
please.
Yeah, the VFW's application came in actually while I was on vacation last week. Diane Mortensen handled that. She did get approval from all of our team members for that plan. Everybody signed off on it, so it is good to go on our part. It's just for
Okay.
your review as well.
Okay, and I see we have Rick here from the VFW. Oh, I thought I unmuted you. Hold on. There we go. Nope. Unmute.
Hello?
Okay, there we go. Hi,
Okay.
Rick.
Hey, how are you, everybody?
Welcome.
Hey, Rick.
Good to be aboard.
nice job in
So-
the ramp, by the way.
I'm getting there, Joe. I'm not as fast as I used to be.
No one is.
No.
So as Beth said, it's been approved by her group, so it's just for us to look at this. Joe, do you want to do the honor of questioning?
Well, you know, I know Rick and Rick's pretty stringent on maintaining the rules and over there without an issue. I saw that the last one at all tables must be ordering food, so it's just not guys and gals come over, sit down and have a few drinks. They have to be ordering food, and it's just not snack food. I would assume it would be some sort of meal through your caterer that you have there. Would that be right, Rick?
Yeah, through Marconi's, Kim Walbridge is taking
Okay.
care of that for us.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good. I mean, I know where the area that you're talking about, and you have some type of roped off area, right? A barrier or bushes or
We
something
will
like that.
rope it off, yes, as soon as it's approved. We haven't done it yet, but we will.
Yeah. Okay. And the hours of operation of the outside seating, and that's something we didn't ask Hantos, by the way, we should have. But what would be the hours of operation for outside seating at that location?
2 to 10. We've changed our hours a little bit to accommodate everybody that so we serve food. People aren't going to come in and have food at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think our for Honto, the hours are for that tie into the rest of their liquor license,
Okay.
Joe. The hours don't change that they serve.
So last call for them would be 10:30.
I don't know offhand.
Well,
I'd have to
11.
double check their license.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I can double check that, Joe. That's a really good question because a lot of these businesses too have altered their hours. So I'll
Yes.
check with Henry tomorrow on that to make sure.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I should have asked that. I had it written down and my eyesight's not what it used to be. I'm sorry.
I have one question. Just you said you're going to rope it off. It is a parking lot, so I know we want to make sure that the barrier is a strong barrier, I would think, so that if people decide to come around the corner driving, that your tables are protected.
right, we really can't put a strong barrier. We're going to put a double barrier, probably with barrels, and then horses outside of that with markings on them.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Whatever you want us to do, we'll try and accommodate it. But
Well, I'm gonna let Beth and her team, because they'll have to come out and inspect it and see it once it's up. And I would think that if they don't think it's appropriate, they'll let you know.
okay. Fine.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments? Rob, Brandy, or Steve?
Sounds good. I just want, is there going to be a view of the river from these tables or?
Absolutely.
Through the parking lot?
Well, maybe more in the fall because it's pretty well grown over right now.
Yeah, all right.
I'm waiting
Okay.
for the bridge to go across there.
There
Actually.
you go. Well, it sounds good. Sounds like a good proposal. Thank you.
Brandy?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Steve?
Nope, good for a motion.
Okay,
So I move that we approve the application from the VFW to expand into outdoor dining. This one, we don't have to condition that they've already been approved by the development team.
with the ending date of November 1st, 2020.
November 1st of 2020.
With the operating time is 2 to 10, I believe Rick
Yep.
just said, right? Okay.
Yeah.
If I can get a second on that.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. And that passes as well. Rick, thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. Good luck. Certainly anything we can do to support businesses that can do things like this, we want to see that. So, and thank you, Beth, for bringing these and fostering them through.
Terrific. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Great. Okay. Moving on to our consent agenda. I'll just read this quick because there's only 3 things. The first thing, acceptance of minutes from June 9th and 17th from regular session minutes. Remove Paul Vieira as a member of the Mendez Building Committee. Appoint Chris Matthew as a voting member of the Mendez Building Committee. If I can get a motion.
Move to approve as presented.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second.
Great. I
Atta-
have a. What was that, Joe?
No, I said, atta girl. She beat me. She beat me to it.
We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Greaves, aye, and Shear. Sure. You're muted, Rob.
No way.
Okay,
mean,
there you go.
I didn't mute you, Rob. I
Oh,
swear.
did.
Great. Okay.
I'd like to
Moving-
thank, if I may, before we move on, I'd like to thank Paul Vieira for his work and wish him well in his new ventures and his new job. And I know I'm getting older because Chris Matthew was one of my students in my programs many years ago. And when I saw his name, I said, "Holy mackerel!" And that's great. I wish him well. He's a good kid, and I think he'll be a great addition to the committee.
Yeah, and he's already jumped in, and they'll be having his position will be taking over for Barbara Durant, but she's not leaving until October. But because he's an Ashland resident, we've made him a voting member as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to priority project updates. Michael, I'm going to let you lead us into this with the Rail Transit District.
Sure.
Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a project or a development agreement that we've been working on, I think it's been at least a year and a half, if not 2 years. We've been talking about the possibility of this project since November of 2018. As part of a project such as this, the board usually enters into a development agreement with the applicant that really kind of articulates some of the ground rules, some of the parameters regarding the development before it moves forward with permitting. You usually address things like affordability components, fees, any kind of site boundaries that are associated with the project, and some other terms and conditions that the board or the developer would like to negotiate or discuss. This project is going to be presented as what's known as a friendly 40B, which is a comprehensive permit under the state's 40B statute. The term friendly means is that the board would be supportive of this application as it moves through the ZBA. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's automatically approved at the comprehensive permit. It just really indicates that the board is a partner as part of this and has entertained a lot of different things before making that decision. Just to let you know, this is on Lot 2 of the Rail Transit District. The current zoning on the Rail Transit District allows for 252 unrestricted 55 plus townhomes with a 10% affordability requirement. So 26 of those units would need to be affordable. As part of the deal with the Rail Transit District made back in 2018, where we purchased Lot 3, we also, as part of that transaction, had a deed restriction on Lot 2, which we weren't purchasing, but we had a deed restriction that secured at least 20 acres of that 38 acres of being open space. And it also changed the development potential from 252 townhomes to 180 affordable rental units at age 62 plus with 25% affordable. That is beneficial for the town in that if it's rental units, if you have 25% affordable, you have the ability to count all 100% of the units towards what's known as your subsidized housing inventory. And that is important to us because as we creep up towards the magic 10% of our housing stock being affordable, that's the magic number it takes for us to be, I guess you could say, inoculated against non-friendly 40B projects, which is something that we saw at the Valentine estate a few years ago, in which we subsequently purchased for $3.5 million. Part of the reason was to get out of that comprehensive permit. So this has been going on for a while. We've had several iterations of the development agreement, go back and forth. We have narrowed it down to the point where I think the board has reached a place where this is where the board is, and want to acknowledge the work that the team at UGC, who is the applicant, have done in terms of shrinking the footprint of the site and preserving more open space, and having some of those affordable units at what we call the lower affordability level, so they could be affordable to more people. And that's based on AMI, and then also things such as fees and other site plan constraints as well. So again, I just want to reinforce, based on the discussion that we've had, and Yolanda, I'm sure you'll probably reiterate this in a couple of minutes, this is where the board is, and where, after months of going back and forth, this is where the board is. And, we look forward to moving forward with this project. And so,
Michael, do you want to show the agreement, or just should we talk about the main points?
I think it's just because the agreement has a lot of legalese language.
Right.
Actually confuses me sometimes. It might be best just to go through the salient points.
Sure.
And if you want to do that, that's certainly fine.
Okay. And hold on. I did not print this out. Hold on. There we go. So for people watching, so this is the agreement for, as Michael said, Lot 2. I think the big points, the big things to bring to your attention, as he talked about, is the affordable housing component. And there'll be 4 at the 50% level, 5 at the 60% level, and 36 at the 80% level of 180. They'll be mixed in. They'll all be in the apartments. They won't be in the townhomes. Then there's agreement where they'll give money back for the MBTA maintenance road, maintenance of the MBTA access road. One of the bigger agreements is that we will be looking to $1,450,000 from UGC, and that is then waiving their permit fees. And it's making it so that it's one payment. That doesn't mean they're not paying fees. They're just not paying individual fees. So if anyone else wants to add. Michael, go ahead, because I don't have the document up. So if you have other points, that might be good to make.
One of the things I think that has been a really good discussion between the applicant and the neighborhood at Apple Ridge and the board has been keeping as much open space as possible and as much of a buffer as possible. I think if you don't mind, I actually have a couple of different exhibits that I could show that I think would probably
that'd be great to give us the visual. Thank you.
Exactly what's going through, and please bear with me here.
So while Michael's doing this, I think it's one other thing that I think is important to note is the access to the 20 acres that's coming back to the town as well. That's something that we've worked on, and again, I have to agree with Michael and certainly acknowledge the work that UGC has done with this project and accommodating a lot of our concerns, and I think subsequently has made this a much better project for both parties.
Yes, I agree.
Mhm.
So this is actually from 2019. One of the conceptual plans, one of the versions, as you can see, just for reference point, where my cursor is where the MBTA access road is. Over here, you see this white area, that's where the current Cirrus development is. Over here are the homes on Apple Ridge. And so this is what we call Lot 2. So it had the road kind of cutting in between, through the entire open space there, which essentially kind of broke up all the open space that we had. And then you can see the size of the footprint. We had two larger apartment buildings with several townhome blocks, including these red ones here. I don't know if everybody can see this line, but this line represents on a 100-foot buffer that's codified in zoning. And so it brings those townhomes back all the way there. So that was from 2019. And then I will show you what we have currently. I hope I can. Um, this is not going to be the best. Well, actually, if you want to continue on, Yolanda or any of the rest of the board members, well, I'll pick up a better version of this. That would probably be good. Just the one I have.
I think, you know, as Steve said, we've certainly been working on this for a while. Anybody else want to add? Joe?
It's been a tedious process, and I appreciate all the effort that town council has put in, along with their attorneys trying to work with the town. It's not an easy thing. Each one has their own side as to what they want to do and what they would like to do. And I think all in all, this is, I think the final decision, the final document that we have in front of us that we're going to vote on tonight, I think is the right one. And I think it would benefit not only UGC, but the town as a whole.
Yep.
And the only thing, Madam Chair, I'd like to add is that I certainly, again, appreciate all the long, and recall we had multiple meetings with the butters as well. And I think this goes a long way towards trying to meet everyone's concerns. And just looking at the open space here is much more compact. And the one thing I would also add is if we need to, this at least gives us a chance, if we need to put a trail through there, we at least have a realistic, a more feasible way of doing it, given this plan. So,
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Okay.
So
Michael?
Yep. So this is the plan that everybody has agreed to. It extends that 100-foot buffer, and it creates a 150-foot minimum buffer, undisturbed buffer, and an average of 200 feet. So at the minimum, at the smallest pinch point, it's still 50 feet more than what the buffer area currently is. And then on an average, it expands out to 200.
And this is an undisturbed buffer for the buildings to the homes, but it allows us to put in that buffer, potentially if necessary, our portion of the Upper Charles Trail.
Correct. And that 100, that's a very important point. And
it's a very important point, and UGC is aware of that.
They're aware of that, and they've actually been gracious enough to include in the development agreement, if we have a hard time for whatever accessing that from the road, they would develop an access point from their property. They would allow us to develop an access point. They obviously would be at our expense.
Yeah.
But when I say buffer, I also want to point out, and we've put language in there in the development agreement that, you know, really kind of cements this, is that there's going to be no clearing beyond that 150 feet, or within that 150 feet.
Right.
So all of that will still be mature vegetation.
Yep, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to vote to support the development agreement between the town of Ashland and UGC as presented. If I can get a motion?
So moved.
If I can get a second?
Second.
Okay. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. That passes 5-0. I believe there are some people from UGC on the line. Michael,
If I may, I think the board wanted to authorize me to.
you to sign it.
Yep.
Yes, and I move that,
I was just going to modify the motion to.
go ahead.
To make note that the board authorized Michael to sign a development agreement and send it to UGC post haste.
Sounds good.
Second.
Okay. One more vote. Kinsman,
Aye.
Mignani,
Aye.
Mitchell,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
and Greaves, aye. That passes 5-0. Thank you for that amendment. Thank you for that. Like I said, I think we have Tom on from UGC. I don't know if there's anyone else from UGC who had any questions or comments. I could unmute you. Okay, hold on. I hit unmute. I'm getting there. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Smetana from the United Group of Companies. As Michael was alluding, this project has gone through a lot of iterations over a period of time, a lot of back and forth that happens in a community. We really look forward to being in the Ashland community. We think this project will be a great addition. It allows a lot of the current residents that are there, that have lived there probably for a very long time, to continue when they can't continue to live in their single family homes. The affordable component allows us to really engage with a broad resident base. So we think there are a lot of real positives. And then Michael also talked about some of the benefits in terms of meeting the town's goals. And certainly the green space is a real addition. A couple of points in the final development agreement you passed that were a little bit different than what was talked about. We understand internally there were some changes that you've apparently agreed to. We'll just talk about those internally, and I'm confident we'll work them out. We really want to move forward with a friendly application here and work together and make this a success. I think that it'll exceed people's expectations in terms of the quality of the project and the kind of community that it'll be, attracting a great spectrum of people. So I think it'll really work well, and we will look forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you. We too look forward to working with you. And as you said, this has been a process back and forth. I do feel that UGC has been willing to work with us, and we appreciate that. We look forward to having Michael get this done and get the project moving forward. And I see Tom is on, and Michael Usolini has joined us.
Oh, okay.
Let me.
Michael just was at an event at a function earlier, so just joined.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening, Michael. Welcome.
Thank you, Yolanda.
I'm sure you've heard we have voted. Michael will be sending that to you, and getting that moving forward. Getting the project moving forward. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, or?
I don't.
Okay. Great. Short and sweet. Good. Tom, thanks for sitting in and listening. I appreciate that. I believe we voted. We're moving on. So we're going to move on to our next item number, downtown project in Riverwalk on Mill Pond. Michael?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to the downtown project. Well, I think everybody, I'll start with Mill Pond because I think everybody, that's the most visible evidence of progress going on right now. Very exciting. The railings have gone up now. We've still kept the chain link fence up for safety purposes, but the railings being done, the electrification of the lights has been delayed only because we need Eversource to do a couple of things. So everything's ready from that point. But can't say enough about Doug and his team and Jen and what she's done. And certainly want to give a shout out to the Open Space and Recreation Committee for helping us with this project. I think Roberta has been in contact with both Doug and Jen about maybe making some modifications, and we certainly appreciate that. So we're really looking forward to that being officially open, and I think everybody else is as well. So with regards to downtown, I do have a meeting with Eversource tomorrow just to finalize some of the final undergrounding plans. We do plan on moving forward with that this summer. It's probably going to happen later in the summer, but we are looking forward to getting that moving on. And that's about it on those.
Okay. Public safety building?
Public safety building, we really don't have much to report. Since the last time, we do have the schematic design done. We have the schematic cost estimate. I believe we're going to try to meet next week as the Public Safety Building Committee.
23rd.
23rd and
Oh.
discuss a couple of things, including what a public forum would look like at this, now that we're at the schematic design standpoint, with a schematic design cost estimate. We have something substantive, and I think it'll be important for everybody to see how we've gotten to this point. Although we haven't necessarily, there hasn't been a lot of attendance at our meetings or anything like that. There has been a lot of work that has gone into this, and what you're going to see at the public forum presentation is the culmination of a lot of work by a lot of different people to get to that point. So I don't know, I'd certainly defer to Joe or Steve if they had some more comments related to that.
No, I'd just like to expound the fact that you're right. A lot of people have done an awful lot of work to get where we are right now, and there's still a lot more work to be done. And the hurdles, they're there. We'll make them, and we'll jump them, and we'll pass with flying colors for sure. And I'm just keeping in mind that for the folks who are looking at a green community and sustainability, that was one of the long, hard discussions that we had when we were looking for an H3A system for the building. And as far as we know, we believe that this is the first public safety building will be geothermal.
Nice.
And, yeah. So we were surprised. We thought the figures were going to come out outlandish in cost-wise, but it really wasn't that much more than what we were anticipating. And it was under $1 million to do this. And that cost in and of itself will pay itself back, within 15 to 20 years. I won't be able to see that, but you guys will. And maybe Rob, I don't know. But I just think it's a benefit for the town. It'll be a benefit for the community as a whole. And it'll serve this town for a good 50 years, easily.
Good.
So I'm excited.
Steve,
Yeah, I'm excited as well, particularly for getting started with public forums and really starting to engage with the public and telling the story as to why this is an important building and how we got to where we are in terms of the schematics and why we went that route. So hopefully we get that engagement and we're able to really give a good narrative moving forward.
That may leak out some information that our first public forum will possibly be August 4th. That looks like a date that we're keying on and targeting for. So August 4th would probably be our first public forum between 6:30 and 8:30 that evening.
Good.
And definitely hype it up and put it on all the different media outlets to get people's interest and have them watch us and participate as well, because we need to hear from them as well.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, Warren District Valentine Estate. Any
So
update theirs?
I know the Valentine committee met or will be meeting recently to discuss a few things. I will let you know that the project manager, Dave Foster, he's organized some Boy Scouts to go and remove some of the invasives on the property, which is certainly very, very helpful for us. We also have a couple of members who have really taken to this and have reached out to people as part of this process who are historic preservation experts. In fact, I think they're known as circuit riders from Preservation, Massachusetts.
Nice.
And, Susie Scher, I think, has reached out to them and has met with them along with the project manager, Dave Foster. And so they've talked about some of the possibilities that can be done there.
Michael, regarding the Valentine barn, are we looking at getting another tarp up there over that hole in the roof as soon as possible?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good.
Yes, we are. The very visible hole?
The very visible hole.
Yeah.
I was driving by one night, I'm like, and I think it's fairly new, right? That bigger, okay.
It is.
Okay.
Like somebody said, we're going to need a bigger tarp.
Great. Okay.
So with the Warren Barn, so the project manager is meeting with the architect again to talk about some of the revisions that we had discussed earlier, which include not going with a modular design, but going with a design that's on the current footprint of the barn, or what was the current footprint of the barn, and maybe stripping it down a little bit more in the interior so it would be more affordable.
Okay.
I have let you know, I think it's important to let the community know that the money that we have set aside for that barn is probably not going to be enough, even at its reduced form.
Wow.
So we'll, need to be looking at closing that gap, which I'm confident that we can do.
Either that, or we find a concerned citizens group to start a fundraising and GoFundMe site to restore the barn. Because, as we've talked about before, some of these things we're just not going to be able to keep doing under our regular budget. We need to get people who might be interested to do those kinds of things and help fundraise.
We do. I think we've talked about the what we can do to kind of finalize some of these projects that are still outstanding as they've kind of made up. And, I think we underestimated, or at least I underestimated, I can certainly say, just the complications related to each project, each public sector project that seems to happen. So, we'll find a way to wrap that up some way, in one way or another. Speaking of the Hall House, so I believe I have a meeting with the proposed purchaser tomorrow in the meeting. So there's some discussions with Framingham State about an MOU between the purchaser, the town, and Framingham State regarding the possibility of some adjustments to the land lines, and then as well as potentially what's going to happen with the barn that's behind the house, because that still remains Framingham State property. But of course, you can easily see the barn from the house. And so they, each entity, meaning the owner, which is right now the town or the future owner, and Framingham State has kind of a vested interest in what each other does.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you for those updates. Any questions from anybody? Any from the board members? Okay. Moving on, town manager report. Michael?
All right. So I got to make sure I pull up the right agenda.
Correct agenda.
So if you'll just bear with me a little bit. I believe the first one on there is the micro enterprise grant.
Yep.
And I have spoken a little bit about this before, but just to make everybody aware, so the town did participate in a regional grant application with 22 other communities to do something called participate in a micro enterprise grant program. What's a micro enterprise grant program? Well, it's money. It's a program that's funded through community development block grants, which flow through Department of Housing and Community Development, that we can use to support some of our smaller businesses in town. The unique thing about this is that Ashland is the lead community as part of this. So we have taken on the role of being really the administrator for all of this if we are successful in being awarded that grant. I am told that we will have an official notice from the state soon as to whether or not we've been successful with that application. We had initially asked for $5.5 million. Just so everybody knows, this is a statewide application, and the amount of money that they had statewide was $10 million. So the prospects of getting funded and getting funded at the full amount, are probably less than 100%.
But what other communities have partnered with us on this, Michael?
There, like I said, there's 22 others. So I don't have the full list in front of me, but I know Natick has been part of it. Burlington has been a part of it.
Wow.
Concord, Manchester by the Sea. So the MAPC region consists of 101 cities and towns. So they're within that 101. So
okay.
That narrows
so
it
they
down.
didn't have to be close to us. They just had to be within the MAPC's region.
Correct. So they're not
okay.
contiguous. So
okay.
we do applications are being put together. certainly Franklin Regional Council of Governments over in Western Mass, they have a really strong history of doing regional work. So I'm sure they'll put together a strong application, as well as some of the individual communities, I think, as well.
Good. Okay.
So just to clarify too, for folks that are watching, the idea behind this grant for our town would be to help support our local businesses, especially those that have been adversely affected by the COVID crisis, be able to help them kind of bridge the gap, right? That's the intention.
Exactly. And so the maximum award for each business would be $10,000. And they can utilize that for utilities, they can use that for rent. If they have not taken advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program that came through Federal CARES Act funds, they have the ability to use that for payroll if they need to. So it's pretty flexible in what they can use it for. But like you said, Brandy, the intent is to help kind of get these businesses through this hump that they're experiencing due to the COVID crisis.
It's limited, Michael, to businesses with 5 full-time employees or less.
Or less. So, and one of those employees is the owner, and there is an income requirement, but a minimum or maximum income requirement. I don't remember what that threshold is right now.
Yeah, I would think there would be, because even on the PPP, there was maximums for, over a certain amount of pay and business owners. So,
hopefully we'll have official notice from the state soon.
What was that?
Hopefully we will have official notice from the state soon.
Okay, we look forward to hearing from that.
We do too.
Okay, Pond Street project update. It is moving forward. Yoo-hoo.
Yes. After a couple of, at least a couple of decades, right?
A couple of, definitely 7 years actively. But
but I think it's been talked about and put on some plans or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think if you talk to Ed Bates, he would say decades.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. I mean, I remember, so Ed Bates and Steve Greenberg actually coming to visit me when I was the assistant town manager and Tony hadn't even started yet full time. And, they just rolled out these plans and say, hey, this has been on the radar screen and what can we do? And of course that evolved to the discussion of the meals tax and implementing the meals tax to fund the 25% design that got it on the tip, which allowed for MassDOT to pay for the rest of the design and kind of get us to this process. So while not specifically related to this process, Eversource is starting to work on some of their infrastructure in anticipation of the road work that is going to be done. And so that has gone out to bid. I believe the bids are due either in August or September. And just to remind everybody, this is going to fully reconstruct the full 2.2 or 2 miles of 126 from the Ashland or from the Framingham line to the Holliston line. It's going to incorporate multimodal paths. It's going to incorporate sidewalks in certain areas. It's going to incorporate traffic calming measures. It's going to incorporate street vegetation and then also more decorative street lighting. So it's roughly a $20 million project, of which the town is only paying $1.2 million. The rest is being picked up by the state. So we're, like you said, Yolanda, we're excited to see that move forward.
Yep. The benefit to the businesses and the residents along that corridor, as well as anyone who drives through that corridor, is going to be amazing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brandy.
Oh, I'm sorry. So this is going to start on the Framingham side, correct? And that's where, as far as like a traffic impact, that's going to be sort of the first area, Michael?
Before the
infrastructure, the Eversource.
Eversource, I believe, I actually thought they were going to try to start at different ends, kind of in the middle. But my understanding is things aren't going very smoothly between Eversource and MassDOT right now. So
yeah, the information from Doug was that the project will begin on the Framingham Ashland line on 7/13. Project hours approximately 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday.
Well, they've got a few things to work out with MassDOT.
Yeah. And so so people understand, right now, this is just the infrastructure change. This is not the actual roadway work.
Correct. This is the
This
stuff
is-
underground.
Yep. So it's going to get dug up so they can do this, and then it'll probably be about another 2-year process to get the whole road finished and done.
The reason we're doing this, Yolanda, is that you don't want to do the road work
And then do
just
the,
come along
oh,
and dig it
yeah,
up and do the-
exactly. So, great. Okay. Next item, Black Lives Matter material on town property. You wanted to talk about this.
I did. So I have talked to a number of residents who brought this up, but I do want to, I think it's an important point that, I'm bringing this up myself. Obviously we're in a changing world right now. And I think many of us are, I think, a little bit more aware of kind of, obviously it's hard for us who are not Black to totally empathize with what Black people in America have gone through over the last 4 centuries. That being said, I think more and more people are becoming aware that they are not aware of what has gone on with Blacks in America for the last 4 centuries. So a way many communities and many organizations are showing support is by the addition of Black Lives Matter material on their property, whether that's public property or, private organizations are certainly doing this as well. Personally, I think it's an important gesture. I support doing this. I propose we do this, whether it's in the form of a banner or a flag. And I just want to really, really emphasize the fact that this is not meant to be divisive. This is not minimizing everything that everybody else has been doing over the course of time. But it is simply a recognition that Black people in America have had a different set of circumstances and a different reality than we'll have. And I think it's important to just point that out.
Okay, great.
So I would need permission from the board to put that stuff up.
Okay, any thoughts or comments from anybody?
Just a question. So Michael, what did you have in mind? What can we expect to see, or what's
Like I said, either a flag that we could fly or a banner. Now we do have the rainbow flag that is kind of hung up in front of town hall. I have seen flags get more attention. That's just been the experience that I have seen. I'm certainly not an expert on that, but if you would like me to look at both options and see what you think would, make a determination of what I think would be most effective, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, other thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say that, sorry, Brandy, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I like what, I like what we do in June with flying the pride flag at town hall. I think that's, it's a statement of being inclusive. And I like the idea of a flag, a Black Lives Matter flag flying there as well. I think that's a good, I think that's a great idea personally.
Okay. Well, I'll just comment. I'm fully supportive of this. I think it's certainly it's important that we take make a statement of how important this is for us as a board, as town management, and as a community. I don't just to underscore Michael's comments about the fact that it's not intended to be divisive but I think it is reflective of the need for privileged white people to reflect on the differences between our experiences and African American experiences in this country. So fully supportive of it. While we're speaking of flags, Michael and I did talk this morning a little bit about the potential for a flag that is based on the Ashland is United material. So I don't know if you've given any further thought to that, Michael. If we're going to be ordering flags, we might want to consider one of those as well.
Yeah, AIU was supportive. I think, I texted Jen, and well, she was at their meeting, and Jen, you could probably speak to what their reaction was.
Yeah, so they were really pleased with that idea. They are working to, or we are working to, obviously promote the signs around town, and that's always been sort of a bummer for the group in terms of not allowing yard signs on town property, because they would have really liked to have it, that support. And so they were very pleased with the idea that this is something that we would explore and possibly implement. So they were very excited about it.
I would just say that what we do is, thoughtful, and it doesn't have to be on all pieces of town property, but select pieces of town property that are, that we think about this as we do it. I think that's important to show the respect that it requires and it deserves. Okay.
So are we giving Michael at this point authorization to explore the whether it's banners, flags, and to come back with a proposal?
With a proposal. Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
That sounds like a motion to me.
Supportive. Yeah. Second.
I do have a question before you take the vote.
Yep.
If you don't, Madam Chair. And I'm all for it. Don't take this the wrong way, but my concern would be other groups that come forward after we vote on this. We'll have to give them the same consideration. And where do we, I guess, where do we, draw the line from that point on?
That's a valid question, Joe. I think we'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis, really.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but at some point, someone is going to raise that question, and I just would like the town. I would like us to be ready for it.
Good point.
Completely legitimate point.
I mean, that is a valid point, right? Certainly people have the ability on their private property to do what they want.
You're right, but
so we have to make sure. That's why I said, if whatever we do, it does need to be respectful and something that is aware of what is going on.
I mean, just from my perspective, I would have to agree with Steve. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think when AIU came to us last year and asked the board for permission to have the pride flag up, that was really, I think, kind of the first request. And, I think the board, analyzed it and thought of it from a number of different perspectives and thought it was the right thing to do and supported it. And, I think you're going to need to do that with any request that comes forward. And it might lead to some uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, I think it comes with, when it comes with territory, being an elected public official, is you make these kind of qualitative decisions in terms of what you feel is important.
Yep.
Yeah. And I also think, we just revised our vision and mission statement. And I think those are somewhat of a template for us to make a decision when we talk about inclusivity. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
And so here's an opportunity to, I guess, put our money where our mouth is, right?
And I think we're signaling that this is an important issue that, we understand and support. So we are making choices here.
Yep.
And thank you, Michael, for bringing that up. So
I have a motion and a second. Kinsman?
Aye.
Vignani?
Aye.
Mitchell?
Aye.
Shearer?
Aye.
And Greaves, aye. Thank you, Michael, for bringing it forward, and we look forward to seeing what you bring back to us.
Thank you.
Okay. Voice of the People nominations.
Yes. So I've let the board know about this, but Yolanda, I appreciate you wanting to talk about this publicly.
Well, I think it's important.
No, I do. I think so. Just for everybody's benefit, So the town participates in what's known as the National Citizen Survey. It is a scientifically administered independent survey that we participate in, and it measures resident sentiment on a number of different things. Confidence in government, specific aspects of government services, things like inclusivity. And so we did it the first time in 2016. And so that really kind of served as our baseline. And based on the work or the results that we received, we really kind of, I know we've got the strategic plan kind of flowing in the background, but then there were all these opportunities to really try to address what we heard from the citizens through this survey over the course of the next, several years. So we did take action. And so then when we did the survey again in 2019, we saw rather large jumps in scores in a positive way in a number of different areas. And so what the National Citizens or National Research Center does is, they look at that and analyze that. And Jen, did you kind of want to talk a little bit about the voice of the people process, or what this means and how we were selected for it?
I can try. So the National Research Center provides to their customers a trend analysis. And so, and then they also benchmark communities across the country. And so they really look at some of the places that are having large positive results. And there's several different groups in several different categories. And so they provide nominations for communities that they feel have excelled in certain areas. And then that process, you sort of fill out an application kind of form that explains what you think some of the actions that led to those results. And then the National Research Center, along with the International City Managers Association, review that and make awards based on results. And then I think also sort of your explanation of the results.
So we were not nominated in one category, but two categories. And Jen, do you want to let everybody know what those were?
Sure. So we were nominated, as Michael said, in two categories. The first one was community engagement. I believe that encompasses a number of variables that are highlighted for anybody who took or has taken the survey in either iteration. There are a lot of questions and it takes about 45 minutes to take. And so there's several different variables that hit upon community engagement. And so I think they aggregate that data and sort of look at it that way. And then the second one was establishment of or preservation of natural resources and or open space. And so we're really proud of those both. They are definitely things that we heard very strong responses in 2016, and we were really cognitive of how we were sort of moving forward strategically over the next several years. And so, we are definitely proud to be nominated for sure.
Thank you, Jen, because I know you manage that. You've managed it the last 2 years, and it's something we'll do again. And I know at one of our other meetings we had talked about how else can we look at that data to make sure we're using not just all the good positive stuff, but if we're getting other, recommendations and criticism, how can we use that to keep our community moving forward and advancing and changing in a positive way?
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
So we make the awards, I think, in September at the ICMA conference. This was going to be our chance to finally go to ICMA, Jen. This year it's virtual.
Yeah.
So rats.
As with everything else, so.
Yeah. So.
But still, congratulations. It's good to have that recognition and the understanding that there's still work to be done, but it's good to have that recognition. Great. COVID update, Michael.
We've updated the website recently in terms of statistics. Things are still trending, I think, in a positive direction. In terms of opening up, we're working through a number of different organizations who are, I guess, youth athletic associations who are now looking at, utilizing the field space that they're allowed to do under current regulations established by the state and the Board of Health. So that's ongoing, and really want to thank Ed Berman, Joe Richardson, our health department, our nurses who are on staff, and our nurse volunteers, and just for continuing to do the work, the grunt work necessary to kind of not only survive this, but really try to keep the community together and try to make progress in some of areas that we took for granted as parts of our everyday lives.
Yeah. So just a question, Michael. There's been a lot more reporting on circumstances and situations with individuals that are becoming more and more resistant to maintaining the protocols and so on. I personally have seen a couple of circumstances, but I can't say, in any major way. But is anybody else observing, or is this something that we're seeing in situations in Ashland? But because it's becoming more and more prevalent, even in Massachusetts.
I think everybody is observing. I don't get out much anymore, so I don't necessarily see a lot. And of course, town hall is still closed to the public except by appointment. I want to reinforce that people can still do business at town halls just by appointment. So, I don't think we've had any incidents where we've had to go in and, reprimand or utilize a heavy hand in certain instances where people have not been compliant. I do think there have been situations where we have, needed to educate people and, kind of nudge them in the right. But like I said, fortunately, those haven't escalated.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I know the governor has made a point of, and I'm not sure if it was part of a governor's order or an advisory to the towns regarding a process for reporting of situations that were observed in businesses and so on.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah.
I do not think we've established anything like that, Jen, unless you know other.
No, I mean, I think at this point we would expect either to be called the COVID hotline, or if it's obviously depending on the circumstance, they may call the Board of Health directly or the police, depending. But no, I don't think we have like a place specifically. I don't believe we've had anything reported to us or to Ed, who is definitely out there and talking to people sort of about their new protocols and making sure that business owners are aware and trying to, follow all the protocols. And I don't think he has heard anything anecdotally that these business owners are seeing anything that they are at least reporting.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good to hear. I just, we're in another crucial stage here with Massachusetts is doing very well, but we have to really keep our guard up. And when I get around, I do see some people who are not necessarily in Ashland, but who are being very careless, I think. So we just have to keep the message out there that we've got to continue to practice these safeguards and social distancing. We could lose control again. So
all you have to do is take a look at what's going on in Florida.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's crazy. I will say that about a month ago, there was an establishment on Route 126 that serves fast foods, and I won't say it's Dairy Queen, but I felt bad for the staff. There was a young couple that was at the service window. They were picking up their food, and we were the car behind them, and the rudeness and the vulgarity that was expressed to those people that were working inside, it was definitely uncalled for. Totally uncalled for.
Why? Because of the line?
Not only the line, but why are you wearing your mask? What's the gloves? This is a hoax. This is a bunch of baloney. This is Big Brother watching over us type of deal. And you could hear them. They were yelling and screaming. He's a high school student. What's he going to say? And he felt.
Thank you for your input. Please leave.
Yeah.
Move on.
Right. Move on. Right. And so we were the next one in line, and he broke down and started crying. He goes, what did we do to deserve this? And he's absolutely didn't deserve that type of treatment at all. And that just was people would understand. This is a pandemic. This is something that can take people's lives. And for some reason, people just don't want to get that. They don't want to understand that. And that's a shame. That's a pure shame. So, but that's the only time I witnessed it ourselves. So I haven't seen or heard anything since then. So, which is a good thing.
Good. Okay.
So.
Last item, Michael?
Is
Housing Assistance Program?
Housing Assistance Program. So Jen, feel free to jump in if I'm going to miss anything, but we have opened up the Housing Assistance Program, which provides rental assistance for people who are financially distressed due to COVID. It helps take care of their housing payments. Emma Snellings, who's our assistant planner, has been working with Jen and the Affordable Housing Trust to put this together. We went live with it. We did receive our first applications. I think we've received one already, and we're anticipating getting 2 or 3 soon. So really looking forward to this program. Again, it's being funded through CARES Act funds.
Nice.
And Jen, do you want to talk about any more of the details related to it?
I can. So the only addition I really have is it is not just rental, but also mortgage assistance. The application process is online. You can find it on our website. And so there's eligibility requirements in terms of how much income you make, and it's really based on your current income. And so if you have been negatively impacted by COVID due to lost wages or reduced hours, you may be eligible. And so we sort of look at a snapshot of now and sort of prorate that out, what it would equal for an annual salary, and that's how eligibility is determined. And so there is an application process. We review that process, and it's done on a rolling admission. So I believe Emma has received her first full application that's working through, and I think the agreement is going to the applicant and the landlord. And then I believe we have one mortgage application pending, and there has been some other inquiries for about 2 or 3 more. And this is just really our first full week of having it open. And so we anticipate it being open for several months. And so we'll take the applications as they come, and we'll periodically re-advertise so that if somebody newly finds themselves in a financial situation, that they can become aware of the service that will be available to them.
Could I add to that, if you don't mind, Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Joe.
At our Affordable Housing Trust meeting this afternoon, right before this meeting, and Emma gave us an update. And if I remember correctly, looking at my notes, Emma stated that there have been 4 applications received to date. And again, it's a mixture of rental and mortgage payments. I believe 2 were mortgage payments and the other were rentals, which are handled a little bit differently. So, which is good. That's what it's for. I know the CARES Act money is going to be utilized first, and then once that money runs out, the Affordable Housing Trust has set aside $250,000 for the program to be utilized, and that would be done quarterly to look over the needs of the residents of the town. So I just wanted to add that along.
Great. Okay.
John, quick question for you. Is the Human Services team proactively reaching out to people that they know may be specifically vulnerable, people that utilize the food pantry? I know that a lot of the emergency fund requests come through the Human Services team. I was just curious if they're doing any proactive reaching out.
You know-
They certainly, yes, so they certainly will use it as a referral as they have clients come in and talk to them about need. It's certain, they're definitely aware of the program and communicating frequently with Emma. Part of that will be done for referrals back and forth to each other, but then also to coordinate to make sure that we are sort of spreading out our assistance and sort of making sure, if you apply to the emergency fund for rental assistance prior to this launch, we may be able to, through this project, pay for that rental assistance, while the emergency fund has much more flexibility in terms of, utility bills, other bills that may be the family may be struggling with. So making sure that we're providing the best possible support that we can. So that's happening pretty regularly, and we'll continue to sort of promote the program as we move forward.
Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
The only thing that we try to let people be aware of is that if you have like a utility bill via water or sewer bill, these monies aren't for that specific purpose. And I know there was we did get an inquiry about that, and that basically goes to the landowner or the property owner who pays that, and then it goes through either a rental or a mortgage type of a payment, which is the reason why your rent is part of that agreement. So we're just very cautious of that and making sure that it goes directly to the property owner or the rental agency or the mortgage company instead of directly to this individual. So that way the money is utilized in the right way.
Great. Okay. Great. Well, that brings us down to board reports. But before I do that, I'm just going to double check. We still have Karen, Diane, and Chuck and Lynn. Anybody have any other comments or questions before we do board reports? You've been sitting there patiently and listening? Nobody? Okay. Great.
Wow. Gotta be a slow night.
Okay, let's go to board reports. Brandy, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, sounds good. So I have a few things. One, I've been part of a team, including Jen and Michael and Beth Reynolds and Ann Canton and Paul Carpenter on the IT side to do a website refresh. And I just wanted to let folks know that's still been moving forward, and we've seen a great design, and it's gonna actually go live, I think next week. I think the 23rd is the date. And just to let people know, it's kind of like, this is just the look is gonna change. And then obviously we'll need to kind of do a second look at really kind of trying to reorganize the content and make some additional changes there. So, but I wanted folks to know that it don't be surprised when you go onto the town website that it may look a little different, and that's a good thing. So, so that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about, the Ashland Cultural Council and Corner Spot are sponsoring Culture Fest, which usually is an annual event at Corner Spot. This year it's going virtual, like a lot of other things. That's going to be next Friday night from 6 to 8 p.m. So I encourage folks to tune in for an evening of dance and music, and I think it's going to be a great event. It's just all virtual this year. So that's Friday the 24th from 6 to 8. And I also did want to talk a little bit about Superintendent Adams is hosting several webinars for parents coming up for the reopening. We've been working on the reopening task force. It's still sort of a work in progress. I think Mr. Adams is going to go through the guidelines from what the state has given us and sort of where we are as a task force and what the next steps look like. He had planned for 2 webinars tomorrow, and I think he's also doing, because there's been such positive feedback, a lot of people wanting to participate. He's also opening up Sunday and Tuesday at 8 a.m. next week as well. So
did you
there's a few
say
opportunities
Sunday
for parents to
at 8 a.m.?
Sunday and Tuesday at 8 a.m.
Wow,
yeah,
good for him.
So so there will be time for parents to register. You have to register in advance for the webinar. and then you can ask questions. So it's a good opportunity for all parents that have specific concerns about reopening in the fall. So that's all I got. Thanks.
What did you think about the invitation for the walkthrough? Are people thinking about going to that, or?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be interesting. I think it's actually a good thing that he's doing. Mr. Adams is going to have us go on a school bus and really experience what it would be like for a student to go into the classroom, what the space looks like, what the capacity looks like. They've been stress testing the schools to see if it's even possible, to see whether or not they can accommodate all children 100% in person. So this will be kind of this will be a good visual way for all of us to see what is possible. And then, obviously there would be a cost associated with bringing, all the children back in person and being able to socially distance safely. So, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be there next week.
Yeah, I am too. It created a very interesting debate in our household about what it means. But
there's a lot of conversation going on about this. I think it's a great idea, at least to give people that aren't necessarily invested in the schools at this point an idea of the challenges of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it still goes to how are teachers going to respond to this? How are parents going to respond? Are parents going to be willing to send their kids to school under those conditions? Are teachers going to be willing to teach under those conditions?
Yep.
And
a lot of discussion still has to happen.
Yeah, it's a tremendously challenging situation, and but I think knowing Jim, I think he's touching everything and looking at everything. So confident that he'll put together an appropriate program. But it's I would not want to be on the school committee.
Right.
The select board.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. Like, so there have been towns that have come out with their reopening plan. I don't know if you've heard or seen, but Lexington, the town of Lexington, released their reopening plan about a week after the state issued guidance, and they do not have the ability to do 100% in person. So their reopening plan to DESC basically said, we're either going to go hybrid or all remote. And that's so that's causing a lot of discussion too, of whether it's even possible to bring kids back at 100% safely.
And to Steve's point, and certainly was part of our discussion, is, are parents going to feel comfortable?
Yeah.
But I think we could go into deep discussion, but as Steve said, we are going to leave that to our school committee, and those of us that are going to want to go on Wednesday. So are there going to be 4 of us there? It looks like.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So I think, and everyone let Diane know so that we can post.
I think I saw a meeting posted.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I spoke with her about it this morning.
Good.
Did we have, I'm sorry, Leland, did we have to let Mr. Adams know that we were going to be attending?
I think because we let Diane know, can we let?
We'll handle that, Joe.
Yeah,
Okay.
if Diane
All right.
can let them know for us, great.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, board report?
Well, a lot of the things that I wanted to mention have already been discussed, so I appreciate that. I just want to remind people that we will be having a public safety building committee meeting on the 23rd. And again, first scheduled forum is target dated August 4th from 6:30 to 8:30. For those who have not been part of this process, I think it's imperative that you check in and watch this program. I'm sure that we will have it on multiple times and throughout WACA, which we appreciate. And if they have any questions, they can get a hold of the committee through our email. And it's been a long process, and I just appreciate everything that everybody's doing during these difficult times. And just wear your mask, guys. It's not that hard. It's like putting your seatbelt on. I remember when the seatbelt law came and everybody was so upset about, oh, why do I have to wear a seatbelt? And then it became second nature. You just snap it on. Well, that, it's the same thing with a mask.
Yep.
Same thing with a mask. Just put it on. It's simple.
Good.
It's not rocket science.
Thanks, Joe. Steve?
Just a couple things. So I just want to also encourage people to take an opportunity to watch Culture Fest next Friday, the 24th. The Dragonfly Festival is scheduled for, again, virtual, September, 3 days, September 10, 11, and 12. We're going to do an hour and a half programming each of those 3 days.
Oh, fun.
And so it's going to be, it'll be interesting. It's really going to give us an opportunity to expand, the number of performers, the type of performers. So it'll be, we're heavy into the programming process right now, working with WACA, and should be a good event. I did want to reflect on our retreat last week, and I thought it was a very well done retreat. I think we got a lot accomplished. We talked earlier in our meeting, we talked about the revision. We worked on the revisions to our vision and mission statement. We're continuing to work on our goals and objectives, but we also did, and I want to give kudos to Brandy, because this was being the new kid on the block a year ago. Brandy had graciously assumed the responsibility of working on our policies and procedures, which we adopted. And I want to certainly shout out to Brandy, but also to Sue Robu, who worked with Brandy, as well as Lisa Yu in HR. And so job well done, Brandy.
Thank you. It was definitely a collaborative effort, and I have to say I'm really glad I'm glad it's over. Accepted them, and I'm glad I learned a lot, so it was good. It was good. It was a good.
I was going to say you definitely jumped in with both feet, but I'm sure it educated you a lot too about what we do as a board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very well, thank you. And last thing, I just want to acknowledge Diane and Karen for hanging in with us the whole night.
Hey, Steve, I have a question for you on Dragonfly Festival. So I know that everything's going virtual this year. Is one of the great things about Dragonfly Festival is the artisans and vendors that come. Is there a way that people, is there going to be a way to connect to those artisans, even if it's virtually?
Yes, what we're planning to do is a series of musical performers, dance performers as well, but also we're going to have slots for artisans to film their craft, or to give an opportunity for artisans to show their craft, to show their business, what they do, how they do it. So, we're working on kind of all the time slots right now. We're also we've got a number of our student performers as well that are participating as well. We've got some very talented student performers as well. So again, as I said, it's really going to give us the ability to expand the programming.
Nice.
And we hope to have a famous personality that happens to be on the screen with us tonight to participate.
Oh, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
Show.
I can't. Never mind.
Okay, we're going to leave that. Moving on, Rob?
Oh, sure. Just two quick items. One is I talked to you briefly about our pension fund and disinvestment, and I will at some point hopefully get my act together a little bit and ask to be put on the agenda for a formal proposition. So I wanted to remind you about that. Apparently, there is a bill in the legislature, which I'm not sure it goes as far as I would like, but I'll let you know about that. But people can look into and support that. Representative Lewis is very active in that. That's to give independent pension funds the ability to direct their own investments. The other thing I wanted to just follow up on is the Chapter 90 funding. The three, I think it's key. We talked a little bit about this before. Apparently, and Michael, it's easy to get confused about all this legislative stuff, but if I understand it correctly, the Senate is starting tomorrow for a really key discussion of the transportation bond bill, and it would be important that we support the $300 million annual contribution to the bond bill by by the legislature and the governor, and it seems to be at a key point tomorrow, starting in the Senate. I sent an email to Senator Spilka's office and Susan Nickel today about just a basic, I had sent an email to everybody. So it's just it was a basic message to her, please support this. We think infrastructure spending is important, and we think it is realistic to do this through a bond bill, because we know the state, of course, is having a lot of economic uncertainty. I did get a response back from Susan this afternoon, so that was good. Which, if I could look at it, oh yeah. So she said the senator's office is working now to get an update on the status, and I can expect a call from the office to talk about it tomorrow. So I would just urge, I don't know if the board, either we all weigh in as individuals, or if we could just send a unified message to her, to Senator Spilka, that we all, that the board as a whole thinks that this is an important issue, and that the $300 million annual amount is an important amount that they should strive to pass in the budget. This is for not this fiscal year, but FY21. So, Michael, I don't know if you had any thoughts or suggestions, or.
I do think a letter from the board, voted on by the board, advocating for this, I believe what's being put forward is legislation that supports, I think, a 5-year appropriation through the bond bill at $300 million a year. There's a couple of things. I think $500 or $300 million a year is still, I want to be respectful of the state's financial condition, but I think that's at a minimum. Just to let everybody know what that means. That will translate roughly to about $650,000 to Ashland. So it costs about $700,000, $800,000 to reconstruct a road. So one mile of road, I should say, 1 mile of road. So you can see that the funding that we receive and all communities receive is really inadequate vis-a-vis what communities' actual needs are. And we supplement, we supplement road work with our own funds as well. But, taxes are, gas taxes, a lot of things are collected at the state level. And I think there is an expectation that it gets returned back to communities. So short answer is, yeah, we should put a letter together.
All right. So I would suggest that maybe even just an email to go out. I would say the sooner, maybe in the morning, and I would just keep it simple, either from you or Yolanda as board chair, probably from Yolanda as say the board has voted that, that this is an extremely important matter and we're behind this, and urging her to support the $300 annual, I don't know if you call it's not an appropriation, but bond bill for the next 5 years, or just words to that effect. And I guess I would ask for a motion then to support that.
Or you can make the motion, Rob.
All right, I'll make that motion. That wording sufficient for you folks?
I'll second it.
Okay. So Michael, if we could work together on some language, and I can then send it out under my email address.
Great.
You might want to check MMA is also supportive of this as well. So that might be something you want to look at.
And I did send their language, I think, to you folks today. I think I got a report from the Policy Committee on Transportation, and I think I forwarded that to everyone.
Yep. Yeah, you sent that to us.
You did.
So there's, I think, what you need is in there, I think.
Okay. Great. Okay.
We need to go.
Yes, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, just raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. That was 5-0. Thank you. Okay, before I let you go, quick report. I too want to say thank you to everybody for sitting for the Saturday morning. I think it was a very productive meeting. I think we got a lot done. Thank you, Brandy, for your work and for reaching out to staff to help you with that. Thank you, Jen and Michael, for taking your Saturday and spending it with us. I appreciate that.
It was only 4.5 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
Could have been longer.
We've had longer.
Yes.
My report. So Mendez, the school building, the feasibility group, they've received their signed letter to move into schematic design. And they are going to be having a forum on Thursday, July 23rd. I believe it's 7, but there's information out there. If we can get that on our website, I know the school has been starting to publicize it, to talk about the next phase. It'll be the opportunity for the public to see some of the details and give feedback on some of the current designs. They'll do a walkthrough of what the planned design is, where it is on the lot. A lot of work has been put into that. It's gonna be really nice. I did ask them that they needed to add some kind of clock feature, though that wasn't there yet. Also next Thursday, but this in the morning from 9 to 10 is the Metro West Regional Collaborative meeting. We're going to be voting on our updated executive committee. And I believe we're going to reach out to Emma to talk about our housing program. Wednesday, June 22nd, as has already been spoken about, is the some of us are going to walk through the schools and see what it might be like to be a student in the fall here in Ashland. Also, there is the housing lottery underway for Robert Hill Way for people who are over 62, I believe through the planning department and Peabody Properties, and hopefully through Jennifer Wolfing, they can get information on that. Correct, Michael?
I think it's Candy.
Candy Wilson. Okay. And then thank you for mentioning the Culture Fest, but also on Friday, there's going to be a vigil outside at 7 o'clock in support. I'm not exactly sure what, but I know it relates to the George Floyd death and Black Lives Matter that has been put together by Lisa from Backstage. And like I said, that's Friday. I don't have a location, but it's online. And that's all that I have. So as always here in Ashland, there's a lot of stuff going on one night. You got to make your decision as to what you want to do. Diane and Karen, thank you for hanging in there. Appreciate it. Jen, Susan, and Michael, thank you as always for your support and work that you do on a daily basis for the citizens of Ashland. Thank you to Paul, it looks like now, and WACA-TV for bringing us out live via the cable as well as through Facebook. If I can get a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Great. Kinsman.
Aye.
Mignani.
Aye.
Mitchell.
Aye.
Shear.
Aye.
And Greaves. Aye. Thank you all very much. Our next meeting is the first Wednesday in August.
Great.
Have a great night. Stay
Night,
safe.
everybody.
Wear your mask.
Yes.
Thank you,
Diane.
everybody.
Aaron,
Have a good
nice to
night.
meet you.